We have another one for the 3 ex-gay panelists. Basically, when it comes to the question is about harm being caused by people who fail to change their identity, who try to go through a transformation process. Have you talked with ex-gay survivors and heard about the harm that they experienced in your ministry to their emotional, psychological, and spiritual well-being? And then another question that kind of goes along with that is a question about the situation in Uganda and the things going on there, and what role ex-gay attempts played there.
Easy questions.
As for Uganda, I understand that the bill that was proposed, and as I understand it, many ex-gay organizations as well have publicly written to the President and the First Lady of Uganda denouncing the bill, asking for it not to be passed, saying that it does more harm than good. As for the harm that ex-gay ministries do, in truth, I can only really speak for myself. I know that, because of the brevity of time, I couldn't go into my whole story, but I do know that when I walked into Worthy Creations 6 years ago, I was in a very dark place, and I begged God to kill me because I just didn't want this life. And we make a mistake also in a lot of people make a mistake thinking that I grew up in a very homophobic society. The truth of the matter is that I did not. To this day, my mom tells me that being gay is okay, that I'm really gay, that I should accept gay. This Thanksgiving we kind of had a little tiff because she argued that point with me. I come from Miami, which is very liberal, very accepting. One of the largest clubs in my high school was gay affirming, the local GSA, and still I myself, I knew that this isn't what I wanted. And ministries such as Worthy Creations or Exodus or Love in Action, which I've also been through, like they offered me hope where no other organizations offered me hope. All they could offer me was a life that I really wanted no part of. So, I really can't attest to other people's stories. I can only attest to mine. My experience has been that it's only been positive. I can recall at Love in Action, for example, them sitting me down and telling me, we will always love you even if you choose to go into the lifestyle.
I would say I had a positive experience when I sought the help of an Exodus ministry. And, for somebody to say that in my work as now the leader of an Exodus ministry that I caused them harm would grieve me, because that's not my heart. And if somebody felt that way, I would love to talk about it. I have had people that have come to us for help and decided that they didn't want to continue on the road away from homosexuality, but they wanted to go back towards it. I mean, most of them wouldn't ever contact me and tell me that. I did have one particular young lady who said, I'm going back to my girlfriend and the church that I went to that was gay affirming, and I wished her well, and we've never had ill words, anything like that. But others would just never even have the conversation. I really respected her for at least saying that. And I think it's a personal decision to do that. For me, I want you to know I came to a place of when I sought help for my homosexuality, it wasn't, I'm going to try this for X number of weeks or months. And some people call and they're looking for some kind of quick fix or whatever. And for me, it was like Jesus or bust. Like I don't want this, and so it's not an option for me to go back to homosexuality. So I didn't look at it like this temporary thing and give it X number of time or anything like that. And I don't know why, exactly why some people feel harmed. I don't know I can't speak to all the different scenarios. I certainly can believe that harm can be done. I don't know specifics of specific instances, so it's hard for me to speak to that.
So I could imagine that it would feel harmful to someone to be told that Jesus doesn't approve of you if you are a believing Christian. And I will say from a Jewish perspective, there is not the same concept of original sin. In fact, in Jewish tradition, the words that we translate as sin don't really have the same meaning in Hebrew as they do as the word sin in English. but we have this idea that every day we're born with a new soul and reawakened, and the concept of original sin is not a Jewish concept. So that's something that Frank brought up earlier. I could imagine it being very harmful to someone to be told that something that they feel and are and identify with, whether or not they're happy about it, is wrong in the eyes of God.
Well, and I just want you to know that when they come to us, they've already made that decision that for whatever reason they're in conflict with that. Like, I don't recruit, and that's something I don't know if you guys think that Exodus does, but I don't, and I don't know of any Exodus ministry who recruits people to address their homosexuality.
Or any other ministry.
I can only speak to my colleagues that, I can't speak to, there's a lot of other ministries that are similar to Exodus, like there's JONAH, and there's other religions that have their own version of Exodus. The Mormons have Evergreen, and the Catholics have Courage. But in my experience with Exodus, I haven't known of any recruiting practices, and I've never practiced it myself. So I'm working with people who say, I want help, can you help me? And they were like me in the sense of saying, my homosexuality and my faith are in conflict. So I understand what you're saying. If I'm telling people, you shouldn't be gay, Jesus said, I'm not saying that. They're coming to me, and they already know I believe that. Because our beliefs as an Exodus ministry are already posted. Like, they know where we stand. And if that's where they stand and they're looking for help, then we want to help them achieve that. Frank feels like today he lives in harmony with his faith and his sexuality. And there's a number of people that I work with that I could say the same thing about, and they would say, I'm so grateful you were there to help me. But I'm not the one putting that on them as far as, oh, you've got to change. And so, that part I have a hard time with saying, like, that I'm guilting them into getting help. Because they're the ones who seek out the contact, and they're the ones who initiate. And so...
there's also, I think, a myth out there about this harm caused to a teen. The fact of the matter is, if you look again at the statistics, there are a much larger number of suicides, for example, in the actively gay world than in the non-gay world. A lot of this, and if you look, for example, at
bullshit.
Scandinavia, well, that's your opinion.
That was
That's certainly your opinion. There are studies out there on it.